Welcome back, everybody. Friday Night Fights. This is the big show for the season. We start the show officially this week, and with me, as always, is Charles.
Hello.
Hey, Charles, how's it
How's
going?
it going? Yeah, I'm fine.
All good.
A bit rusty as I was in the game. I'm rusty on the recapping stuff.
Man,
But
I
let's
feel
get
like
it
we
going.
haven't done one of these recaps in like 6 to 8 weeks. It feels like it's been a while.
Yes.
So some big news around this division. They got some new scrub to fill in for one of the coaches that
Oh
dropped out.
yeah.
But don't worry,
Just a
it's
guy.
as I say, don't worry. It's probably just like a bye week anyway for most coaches. So, oh well.
Yes, it's gonna be a draw week for a lot of coaches, maybe.
Yeah.
And an easy win for some other ones. It's
Easy
gonna be
win.
fun.
And the coach was smart to join late because that ugly uniform would have got trashed if he had joined at the regular time. Did you hear about the big
That's how you
upset?
do it.
Yeah, did you hear about the big upset in the
Oh,
uniform battle? Man, people
Yeah.
are talking. It's huge. Yeah, upset win, the admin first win ever. All right. What we're going to do is, don't worry, people. There's no more uniform talk after the first episode. We're done. What we'll do is we'll come right back. We'll go into our first segment, which is our scorecards. We take a look at the division games that got played and see how you're doing. We'll come right back after this commercial message. Welcome back to Friday Night Fights. This is the scorecard division section of the show, where we take a look at last week's results. If we watch the games, we try to go into a little more detail. Otherwise, we just take a look through your numbers and see how it went. Now, normally we'd start with the main event pick of the week, the most interesting game, but this is the first game of the week, so we're just going to start at the top of the order here. And what we'll do is we'll take a look at We Chillin' 1-1 tie versus Romanian Rebels. Now, Charles, did you happen to see this game?
Oh yeah, I was one of the guys playing it.
Oh, that makes sense. I see.
Kind
Yeah.
of interesting situation that I'm playing on the recap on the division I'm recapping. But
Yeah, they don't usually allow that, but it'll be fine because I'm here to keep you in check. Now, I did watch half this game. I got kind of bored the first half because Elf on Elf is just not entertaining to me. But that first half of the game, I think We Chillin' was really getting the beat stick on them. They were just getting removals, and then I tuned out in the second half. So tell me about the second half. What happened there?
oh, yeah, the first half was me trying to defend, not being able to. I think Romanian Rebels advanced well, and then on the second half, I felt like his defense was good enough that it forced me to score. I had some troubles picking up the ball. I think I failed twice to do so, but that got me in a bit of trouble when I was not satisfied with having to score so early. And then the Rebels decided to stall before going 2-1 with just a single turn to go for me. So maybe that was why it was a draw. They had the chance to score right there and then and go to 1, giving me a small chance of a one turn.
Yeah, looking at ball possession, he had 56% ball possession to your 18%. And then also, I was looking at this 44 blocks you took. He only took 39. You took 5 KOs as well, so he really put the gas down and just kept hammering on you. It looks like that second half as well.
Yeah, his Mighty Blow guy was having a better game than mine.
Yeah.
I thought like the blocking was very much to his side on the first half, and then I got it to be a bit closer on the second.
Yeah.
I was kind of on autopilot, feeling just completely rusty on edgy, and props to him. I think he was the more deserving coach to win, but you don't always get what you deserve. So
Yeah, I see your
we
leap.
get it.
Your leaps here. Out of 7 attempts, you had 3 failures, so that was just not working for you either. And the first half I watched that, I saw a failed leap, and I was like, ooh, even with a reroll, that's not gonna work. So
I think on the first half I failed trying to sack the ball like 3 times.
Yeah.
My players are kind of difficult to deal with in the sense of they can go anywhere, so I have a chance of popping if you don't have guard, right?
you looks like you picked up a nice MVP on the Witch Elf, and he picks up 1 on the Lineman. So all in all, what we'd expect from a Elf on Elf Snorefest. No offense, elves, but elves are so boring. They just kind of do what they want. It's annoying.
And speaking of elves,
Yes.
we got an elf win on the other game. This is the good elf team, it seems.
Yeah, the murdery space elf troop comes in with a 2-1 win over the Bogue Bombers. Now,
Yes.
let's take a look here. The Bogue Bombers had 56% ball possession. Did you happen to catch this game, Charles?
Yes, I was very interested to see, especially how the Bogue Bombers would fare, because they were a very strong team we covered last season, but
Right.
I felt like they might be in trouble for this one, and that seemed to be kind of what happened when on the first half they try to advance, they get stuck, and then as an edge 3 team, they fall back to protect the ball, but some players get left behind. Like an elf team can retreat with everybody and not leave anyone behind because they dodge much better. And this human team, they have to leave some players there, and they get outbashed because of it. Those linemen that stay there, they start getting punched while the ball is back. And I felt like the elves, they twice have to use rerolls on blocks that were not really important. You know, when you have a sack opportunity, you plan your turn to go for the sack, but then you do every block before going for the sack.
Yeah.
And then you roll dubs calls there, then you have to use a reroll before popping the ball, and so
Yeah.
you don't have it for the important play. And they actually pay for it, because this human team, as we know, even if it's difficult, he's gonna go for it. He's gonna roll some 4+ and 5+ if he needs to. And if you fail to pop the ball when you have the chance, and it happened twice, they are able to go 1-0 on the first half, but they lost some players. So the elves come back to the second half with a numbers advantage. And then the humans don't have any big killer. They don't have bomb. They don't have foulers. So the elves start dominating the blocks because they can choose when the fight's gonna be, right? They can dodge away when it's bad. They can punch you when it's good. But they do get in trouble rolling dub skulls before protecting the ball. Some play happens that they needed to use a reroll, then they move the ball, they don't protect it. The humans recover that ball, they punt it away, but then it's elves. Like punting, it is a good strategy against low edge teams, but they just punted against dark elf teams, and then they just pick it up, pass, handoff, score, and that's the 1-1. And then on the last few turns, the humans keep the ball deep again, and they try to go for the win, but they try to throw over the head of an elf. That's always a dangerous thing to do. Interception, elves go 2-1.
Oh, bummer. And you know what? To add insult to injury, the ogre dead. Oh, it gets MVP and dies.
Oh, another ogre death.
Yeah, that's
actually
brutal.
didn't remember that, but yeah.
It's on here. I vaguely remember, because I think we were both watching this one, and I remember Rip Studley getting killed, and then
Sure.
I didn't notice the MVP at the end, so that's kind of insult to injury there.
Oh, I think it was a foul even.
Was it? Okay.
I don't remember. Yeah,
Uh,
but it's another ogre loss for the Bogue Bombers.
Yep.
We talked to Sam last time around speaking about this team, and he said when you go into upper divisions and your ogre is not developed, you're gonna have a tough time keeping it alive. And
and
it
that's
seems
proving.
like the veteran knows what he's doing, because it's proven on the very first game of the season you already died. So let's see if they can buy another one and keep it alive this time.
Yeah, and it looks like the Bogue Bombers just took a physical beating here. The Space Elf troop just put down more hits, and we're breaking armor more often. So props to them on a good win. That was definitely a game we wanted to see how they would both do. This one, obviously, the Space Elves get the better of the Bogue Bombers, and Bogue Bombers now have to think about their next week opponent. I wonder if they're going to buy another ogre. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Let's take a look. Our next game, Gourmet Governors, bring out your undead. Now, Charles, did you get a chance to see this game?
I was watching it, and then we spoke to each other, and actually watched it. So
I
just
watched
to
it,
not
but
have
give a little of your input because your input's always much better than mine. Alls I
that's the
remember was watching this game, and I kept thinking, boy, these poor vampires, they're just rolling so many ones. Every time they would turn around to do something, it was a one. It just seemed. And then bring out your undead. They did the right thing. They just protected the ball, moved it down slowly, took hits on people that they needed to take hits on, and just everything kept falling apart for the vampires every time they moved. And I thought maybe it was just in my head, and then I went back and looked at the results, and the amount of ones, they received 41, so I guess it wasn't that bad of a deal, but it just seems like at bad times they threw their ones that kind of hurt them. Let's take a look at real quick
Yeah,
here.
but vampires, they are a team that needs a fuel, and that fuel is the troll.
Yeah.
So then those ones look worse when they don't have troll to feed on.
Yeah.
And on my opinion, that was a big thing, a very important thing in this game, because first off, on the first turn, the vampires line up with a vampire on the line of scrimmage. That vampire is fouled, and then that's a KO. So then you have one less vampire right away. The vamps, they actually get a sec. The ball scatters to a blitzra, and it just 6+ catches it.
Yeah.
So
Casually.
when you're talking about fuel, they used a lot of that to pop the ball, and then that tragic thing happens where the ball is popped and you can't do anything about it. So by the time they get another sack, because we figured it would happen because it's a low edge team versus vampires, they sack the ball again, but they just don't have any throw to do anything with it. So that first sack needed to have a better scatter for them to have a chance. And after that, I didn't watch it, but it's just a very solid game plan from Random Mad.
Yeah, I
just
tuned into this
walked
game
in.
to see Rand's strategy for dealing with vampires, and I just wanted to see if there was anything unusual. But the only thing I remember was Gourmet Governors just not hitting their marks when they needed to.
And the fouling. I think he
fouling was on
used
point,
the
yeah.
fouling very well.
And then the Governors took 50 blocks in this game. That's crazy. And 6 KOs, 6 casualties, and 2 deaths. They just took way too many hits for what they should be doing. And that you're right. When he stood on the line with a vampire, I thought, well, that's unusual. So there's some unusual play there, but Rand did everything right that he needed to do and got the win. I can't.
And it sounds like the choice of how to deal with vampires was, let me just play my normal game plan and challenge them to do something special because they're not really that fast. And if they fail to do that something special, then I'm just gonna
pounce,
punch them in their face, and win the game.
Yeah, awesome.
Sounds like a good plan.
Awesome plan, worked out well. Let's take a look at Mighty Mo's 2-0 win over Ace Trucking Company. Now, this one I thought Ace Trucking Company would have better chance, but I remember watching this game. Now, did you get to see this game?
I didn't.
Okay, so this started off on the wrong foot, and it was just murder the whole way through. Mighty Blows were just putting the work in. Let's take a look. Mighty Blows took 41 blocks sustained, 3 KOs, 4 casualties sustained, and 2 deaths sustained. Ace Trucking Company put in 49 blocks, 3 KOs sustained, 6 casualties sustained. Those 6 casualties are what I remember. I just thought, man, this is not going anywhere for him. On paper, though, it doesn't actually look that bad. I mean, you got 2 deaths on the Mighty Mo's here, so you can't complain if you're
I
Ace
think it
Trucking
was just
Company.
brothers. I think it was nobody lost anybody important.
Yeah. For Chaos Dwarves, it's always hard fighting a team that has more strength than you, especially when that team also has more claw than you, or just as much as you. Let's take a look at some statistics. Yeah, Mighty Mo's just 81% ball possession. That was the one thing I remember, is that once the Mo's had an advantage, every time a dwarf would stand up, they'd just be knocked right back down. They just couldn't seem to move anywhere. But 81% ball possession, that's insane.
And that, you're right. I think it was a big upset. If I remember the preseason rankings, we're gonna show it a bit later.
Yeah, I think Ace Trucking Company came in. He's been around forever, and I just haven't heard of Mighty Mo's, but they came in and got the win. Nice on them. Let's take a look at some dice. Oh, go ahead.
Isn't this Nergo team the one that came from G-Man? So maybe that's why we haven't heard of them.
Yeah, that's more than likely. I think he has the G-Man one. Let's take a look at Mighty Mo statistics here. Injury, not too shabby, 58%. Regeneration, 1 failure, so it didn't and passing here. 2 successful passes for a Nurgle team. You're killing me with that nonsense. Ace Trucking Company, on the other hand, their armor just did not hold up. It looks like they took 44 hits, 20 of those were breaks. Ouch. Injuries, 71%. So, yeah, this is just one of those games where they just took a beating and it just kept going. Nothing unusual in the dice that I'm looking at, other than Ace Trucking Company having their high dice was 6s that they rolled 40 times compared to only 25 1s. It's an interesting number there. All right. Let's take a look at our next matchup. Boss Hog Outlaws versus Ars Gotia. Now, did you happen to see this game?
Yes, I think we both did. We were both interested in Ziazera's game, right?
Yeah, you're right. See, all these games start to blend together when you watch like 15 of them in a row. I should probably start taking notes. That's what you do, right? You're professional.
I do take notes. I watch them with a notebook because I will not remember anything. So what I input on my notebook for this game was the Chaos removed 3 players on turn 1.
Yep, I remember that.
And then the Boss Hog Outlaws, they had a chance to KO Ipos, but because the guy would be in base contact with a Claw player, he decided to piling on, and then that nullified the KO.
So you just stole my thunder, because that was the one thing I wanted to point out, was that this is your hero, the Boss Hog Outlaws. He had a chance to kill, or at least hit, one of the all-stars of Ars Gotia. He doesn't take it. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, he gets him on the ground, he gets the KO, he gets him out of there, and he could have just left it like that. I don't know. I didn't approve of that play. I'd rather stand up and take my hit coming back just to get Ipos away. But then again, that's probably why I'm a terrible player.
Sure. And after those 3 removals, it was just Bash City. Ziazera doing what he does best, keeping his foot on the opponent's neck after they're down.
Yep.
He bashes the guy, he scores, and the extra apples were actually a great choice by Vulpes.
Yeah.
It saved his team from a big death and some kind of bust. I think it was an eagle, but also it gave him some numbers to get back. He bought 2 extra apples with his inducement money, so maybe that's a way for the rest of the division to try to deal with those claws from Ars Gotia, is get some apples to save your guys and have numbers to come back on the second half if you lose the coin flip. And by the way, I think that game shows why I think this game gets silly at high TV, because when you get 3 removals like that on turn 1, there's not much chance for defense.
Yeah.
And then when you talk about this team is my hero, you can see that on the second half, because they get punched to hell on the first half. They come back, they get their head straight, and they actually start a very nice offense. They, of course, get in trouble because it's a very difficult team to play against, the Murdered Chaos. And they've always served, but the scatter from the serve is good for the Chaos Dwarf team, and they actually end up with a red die to get a push that scatters the ball, and then they needed, I think, just a 3+ to pick it up, but they cannot do it. So with all that damage, with everything that happened in that first half, all the dreadful times he must have, he actually made it a 3+ to draw that game. So I think it is one of the most impressive losses you can have. So I actually think they'll do fine.
You've got to be kidding me.
It was an impressive loss.
Oh my god. Oh, get a room. Jeez. Oh my god, the love fest here. No, that was ridiculous. I am saying that is the point where he re-rolls to pile on and lets IPO stay in the game. That was where he lost the game, in my opinion. But that's just me.
Okay.
I think
And congratulations to Ziazera, who was very solid as we know him to be.
Yeah.
And he uses those terrible tools. I don't know how he gets to be that bad. I don't know why people are not trying to kill his stuff. But now that he has such a perfect team,
yeah,
he knows how to use it to some dangerous effects.
Yeah, that's one of the other things is that I've had these games where I know I'm going up against a murder team. I can't win. So I just focus on their best player and stomping him out and trying to kill it. I mean, if I'm going to take the loss, at least I can take somebody with me. But in this game,
by the way,
not a lot of deaths in this game, other than
that team.
Yeah, go ahead.
That team has like 3 impressive killers or something like that. So even if you kill one of those goats, he's still gonna have great killers. So this team is gonna be around for a while. Even if 2 major deaths happen, they will still be here because it's so developed.
Possibly true. All right, let's take a look at Stump Force versus the Grody Greens. Stump Force, the dwarf team. Grody Greens, Chaos or Nurgle? Looks like Nurgle. Let's take a look. Yeah. I didn't get to see this game. Did you happen to see it?
Me neither.
All right.
I just think it's a bad matchup for dwarfs anyways.
Yeah. You're going up against a lot of strength here, and you're relying on Dauntless to get over that, or guard. Let's take a look at ball possession here. It looks like 25% for Stump Force, 50% for the Grody Greens. In the opponent's half, looks like they popped the ball and took it at some point. 18% in the opponent's half. 1 pass by the Stump Force and 1 catch. So I'm assuming that was a desperation thing at some point.
Right.
52 blocks they took, and that's probably with strength advantages that the Grody Greens would have had on them. 1 casualty, no deaths, so nobody's dead. Light day of skill point pickups for both teams. And let's quickly take a look if we see anything weird with the dice. Jeez, foul appearance only working once, or jeez. Dauntless, successful. Dauntless, 8 successes, 0 failures, so you can't complain about the Dauntless not working. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Tentacles failed once. That was it. Looks like nobody got trapped by the tentacles. And the Grody Greens, armor holding up 77% of the time. Injuries holding up, only taking 2 injury rolls. That hurt them. Oh, here's another interesting one. Really stupid. Successful 8 times, no failures on that. That was just a good all-around game for both teams.
That's a standard.
Yeah.
They never fail that against you, but when you try to play Nurgle, it fails a lot.
Yeah, that is very true. Other than that, nothing really stands out, but congratulations on that win, Grody Greens.
Yeah.
Getting it done. And lastly, oh, go ahead.
One thing I would like to note is that I finally figured out why the pass block. I think maybe he uses that guy as a safety, and then he was so used to being outrun, like people pass the ball and run away from his slow team. So then if you have pass block, that guy is going to get free movement.
He's going to get
I guess.
free movement? All right.
And then you're not going to be able to stall on the backfield because he's going to be there. I think that's the plan.
Sounds like a horrible plan, Charles. But
well, I'm trying to
you're trying to justify a skill that makes no sense. But I guess just enjoy it for what it is. If he ever gets an interception, he can submit that video to us and shove it in my face. But I think that's crazy skill for that player. Speaking of which, let's take a look at our last matchup here. Is Getty to Conquer's 2-1 win over One Cheese. Did you have to see this one?
I watched this one.
Okay, tell us a little about it.
So we talked about the busted killer on the Norse team.
Yeah.
He takes a pylon, and then One Cheese responds with a non-assisted foul, and there you go, badly injured, and that's the killer of the game right there.
I gotta say, I respect that. I love when people pile on early without protection, and then just a single 1 foul come up just to send a message. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it paid off well for him. I like to hear that.
Yeah, and it makes sense because it's AV6 now.
Yep.
So
yeah, absolutely.
it's not really that hard to break that armor, even if you don't have a way to put an assist on.
Yep.
And then the rats, they advance through the side. They are pressured because it's difficult to play on the side against a frenzy team like that.
Yeah.
And a team that has more strength and more mighty blow, so they are forced to score on turn 4. And the rats actually niggle in the process a level 4 Wolferner. So even though this Norse team is looking very well, that's a big injury. I wonder how much more damage they can take, because this is only week 1 and their main killer is busted, and now the Wolferner is also busted.
Yeah, that's an amazing job by One Cheese. I mean, not getting a win, but still getting enough damage on them to really slow them down. Now, especially if you're Yeti to Conquer, you're expecting to take your harder damage later and get a simple play here on One Cheese, but One Cheese putting in the boots. I like it.
And the rats are able to pop the ball with the lightning bolt, but when they recovered the ball in traffic, I think it was something like a 4+, maybe a 5+, they failed the dodge away. And then the Norse are able to score, go 1-1. And then on the second half, the rats do a simple, normal screen game, but they are continually forced to dodge back. And the Norse are able to advance, but they do a surprisingly low amount of damage considering it's Skaven, but without your main killer for most of the game, I guess that's expected. And the rats lose ground slowly until the Norse are just able to kind of walk it in, to die blitz to walk it in. It was easy enough to push them back and score. And then the rats go for a 1-turn TD. They failed the penultimate dodge, killing the 1-turner, but the apothecary saves it into an MNG.
Oof. Sounds like a rough day for both players.
That was dangerous. Yeah, it could have been bad, but
that would have been very bad in this division, because you're going to need that guy.
If you don't have a 1-turner, that guy's going to be pretty important for them.
Pretty important. All right. Well, good result. 2-1 to Yeti to Conquer. Good job. All right. That is all of our games for this week. Why don't we take a quick commercial break? We'll take a look at our pound-for-pound leaderboard. All right, welcome back to the show. We're going to take a quick look at Charles' preseason rankings here. Charles, I have these up on the screen. Can you tell us a little about this and why it's coming at a kind of a weird time?
Yeah, before every season, I usually do some manual look at the team's results to kind of have an idea of what to pick in the first few weeks before we know these teams. And this time I have a system which I've recently posted on Rebbl News about, and I decided to use that for the preseason rankings, which was the idea since the beginning, but I was only now able to finish it. So we are showing it now because the divisions were decided very late for us. We have like 2 days to prepare before the first recap, so I just wanted to go through it. Since it's been done, let's just talk about it. I have Yeti to Conquer and the Grody Greens as clear tier 1 teams. They both have impressive records. I actually spoke to Iron Master, the Norse coach, because his record has some small amount of games on each season, but it seems like he was a fill-in just like myself in some of the seasons, and he had to drop out in some of the seasons. But one thing that he's always done is win a lot. That's why he's on top there. And the other team is the powerful Nurgle team. One thing to note is that as seasons go, Nurgle usually gets stronger and maybe Norse gets weaker, so we're gonna see if that happens through this season, but both are very strong. And then on tier 2 we have Ace Trucking, Erzgodia, One Cheese, and maybe Bulk Bombers. No, I don't think they are tier 2. I think they fall down to tier 3. We also have Bulk Bombers on 3. My team with Chilling. The other Dark Elf team, Murdery Space Elf Troop. The Stump Force, Boss Hog, Bring Out Your Undead. And then for tier 4, I would say the Romanian Rebels, which just got a draw for me, so that might not be the way that it ends up as. The Blighty Moles, the other Nurgle team, which just got a huge upset if you look at its numbers. And the Gourmet Governors.
So, Charles, your data here, you look at the coaches, their win records, or the team's win records, or what exactly are you looking at when you make these?
Oh, it's team rankings. Okay. Just forget about everything the coach has done before picking up these teams.
Okay.
I just felt like if you are good on Dark Elf and then you pick up, say, Dwarves, you might not be the same coach as you are. I know I'm not. So I think looking at just team records makes sense. And the way you get points is depending on how many points your opponent has. If you win, you might get more points if the team is considered strong. You get less points if you are a stronger team than your opponent. It's a normal ELO ratings if anybody wants to check out. This is just the first version. I expect it to get better over time, but this is what I could do for this season.
Yep, and Charles's predictions with using this so far, they've been off here and there, so don't say, wow, because I'm in last, I'm going to finish last, because Charles picked me to finish 8th last season, but I finished 7th, and I showed him. So
yes, that was so
huge upset. See, your math was clearly way off on that.
Okay, so that means I'm 7th. I can be 6th then.
Well, if you're going to upset the system, you got to work at it like I did, Charles. Yeah.
I'm going to shut the doors down.
Yep.
I'm going to show them.
Shut the server down and redo all your calculations. All right, so those are our preseason rankings based on Charles' algorithm here. Good luck to everybody. If you see that you're struggling, I mean, vampires are always going to struggle until they get really well. Good luck with that. Now, we do have a play of the week sent in by who? The coach of
Volpes.
Boss Hog Outlaws. Coach Volpa. I can't even say your name. But you know who it is. He sent in this play of the week. We'll take a quick look at that play of the week, and then we'll get into our pound for pound series.
I should have put the loner there. Great start. All right. Season 12 looking great.
And welcome back to Friday Night Fights. This is our pound for pound series. We take a look at who's on top, who's on bottom, who's moving up, who's moving down. Charles, for week 1, looks like Ken, Ken is 50 years old. He's from the UK. He plays Blighty Moes, and he is leading now with 3 points. That's he's doing really well.
Yeah.
He came in out of nowhere,
Only game with two touchdown difference.
2 touchdowns, yeah, on a Nurgle team.
All other games have been close.
Yeah.
That's good to see.
Yeah, that's good to see. And Ziazetta coming in second. Montley third. Of course, the rest of you below the playoff Challenger Cup. It doesn't really matter where you're at since it's in week 1. I think the losers of this first week are obviously the Chaos Dwarf teams. We really expected a lot more out of them, but not getting it done the first week. Of course, there's next week.
Got some bad matchups, I think. Didn't they both face Nurgle?
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
Yeah, they both faced higher strength teams, Chaos and then Nurgle. But Luminous Light here, Rebbl Super Bowl champion, 10th place. Getting a win over him, you got to feel good about that. But he is playing Vampire, so he is kind of handicapped on that. Other than that, everybody keep going. It's only week 1. You're not out of it, obviously, and you're looking to get in that top 3 spot. I assume everybody wants to make the playoffs. Not all of us will. So we'll come back. We'll take a quick break, and we will come back and take a look at what's our next segment, Charles? Our main event. Take a look at our main event. And welcome back to Friday Night Fights. This is our main event where we take a look at the upcoming games, the undercards, see who's going to put down a beating and who's going to take one. Charles, what we're looking at now is Season 12, REL 2B Week 2. Do you have a main event pick for this week that you wanted to look at?
Yes, as we can see, we can look at Ace Trucking Co. versus Bong Bombers. I know both teams lost, but that's still my main event because it's early in the season. And both teams are kind of highly rated. They face each other, and losing a second game, that could start to be damaging to their chances of going to the playoffs. So I think it's a very interesting matchup.
All right, let's take a look at that. What we've done is we brought in a guest host from your division here. On the line with us is Zia Zeta. Say hello, Z.
Hello, guys.
Hey,
Hello.
good to have you, Z. Now, how long have you been playing Blood Bowl? Just for people who are unaware.
I think 3 years now.
3 years? Okay. And what's the
Okay,
highest
yeah.
you've made it?
Div 1 playoffs.
You did make the playoffs.
Round of 32.
Okay. People just want to know,
Yeah.
get an idea. And how do you feel your season's been going so far? First game in. You feeling confident?
Yeah, I'm feeling extremely confident.
All right.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I like that. Bravado.
Yeah.
Because I've heard rumors that people are thinking about taking your team out in a coordinated effort.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
Yeah.
I'm pretty angry that I got relegated, so I'm working my way back to Div 1.
Yeah?
I don't feel like I should have been relegated, but that's just me.
You had
It's
an
just-
average
I
position, right?
I had the perfect average, 5.35.
Yeah, and that means you should have stayed there. I think that's you were right.
Yeah.
But I also agree with the admins. Again, I'm part of the admin team, so I also agree with them that we're going more with a promotion rather than you have to go above average to stay in Div 1. Which I'm like, I see where you guys coming from, but me personally, no.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
wow.
looked at Division 1, and there seems to be some teams that don't belong, and I think it's because of that. If you were there, the division would be more interesting, in my opinion. So,
All right.
I'm fine with climbing back.
Well, let's get this show back on track. Z is here. He's going to help us make our picks and the division. He's going to give his insight. And the main event game we have up this week is Bogue Bombers, who come in at 1530, versus Ace Trucking Company, coming at 1900. Let's take a quick look at the Bogue Bombers. They're pretty well set. I don't see any injuries for them. And Ace Trucking Company comes in with missing one Hobgoblin. Ace Trucking Company also comes in with plenty of claw, as they normally do, and
a little cut up, I think.
Yeah.
I think Div 1 he had a little bit more.
yeah, they always want to add more. But what do they got? 1, 2, 3 claw
Three.
pieces that will be active this game, and that
Oof.
wacky Hobgoblin that still alive. I'm still amazed that Hobgoblin #1, Mace's second son of Ace, is still alive.
He's pretty good. Come on.
Come on, who puts a Hobgoblin close enough to get punched or wrestled? That's crazy talk. And he's got Frenzy. What a madman. I've got to watch more of that. See how he's using that. Maybe he's doing
He's
something.
basically a chorf at this point, if you think about it.
Yeah, Armor 7 Chorf. Squishy Chorf. Who do you like in this game, Charles?
I'm picking the Charves. I think they get a numbers advantage. They just base the opponent and make the humans struggle to break free. And if they had trouble doing that against Dark Elves, I don't imagine they're gonna be that much more successful against Charves.
Yeah. And Z, who are you picking?
I'm going to agree with Charles. I'm going with the chorfs. I think, looking back at the human team, if they had an ogre, I'd be actually more inclined with the humans.
Yeah.
So they have no money to buy one?
He's got 180 cash. He's got 180k,
Yeah.
so he could buy one, but it's gonna be a rookie.
Yeah. It's going to be a rookie, but I still think with chorfs, their biggest weakness is actually strength advantage. They only have 2 pieces, and one of them is usually the ball carrier sometimes, or kind of a safety. And they don't want to be, those two don't even want to be based up if you're in a bash matchup.
I agree,
Sure.
and he's got more guard on his team, so I hate to agree with you guys, but I'm also taking Ace Trucking Company for the win. But good luck, Bogue Bombers. Pull off an upset and make us eat our words on that one.
I can see some agi plays, though.
I
I
can
can definitely
see
see some agi plays.
Oh, yeah.
The game's
He
always
has the
about
book,
dice.
Yeah.
He knows how to throw, and he knows how to beat teams that we didn't expect him to beat last season. So he's got the
And
tools to do it.
He rolls the die when he needs to,
Yeah.
so expect him to at least give it a good shot. But I think it's gonna be difficult. And there's also the question if even if he wins, how much damage there's gonna be.
Yeah. Right. Let's take a look at the next game up in order. We got these scrubs, We Chillin' versus these other scrubs, Bring Out Your Undead. Now, these two teams nobody wants to see win because they talk mad trash to everybody.
Yeah.
We Chillin' coming in at 1780. Bring Out Your Undead 1790. So nice matchup right there. We Chillin' coming in looks healthy. Are they missing a witch up? Nope, they're healthy. And Bring Out Your Undead.
Which is rare.
Bring Out Your Undead. They also come in healthy. So nice even matchup. Two coaches that have mad trash talked each other. Who do you like in this one, Charles?
I want to hear what the guest has to say first because I'm involved with
Well,
this.
how about I go first
this
then?
game.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm picking out Bring Out Your Undead because Charles has never beaten Kemri, so I have insider knowledge on this one. And Rand can actually play. I hate to tease him, but he can play. So, who do you like in this one, Z?
Yeah.
All right. Because in our private DMs with Charles, he told me the old Charles could have won the last matchup. I saw it. I believe that.
Oh my god.
Here, he says new Charles is trash. I agree with new Charles.
New
trash.
Charles is trash. I'm gonna get that quote. We're gonna use that in the
Honestly?
show. Yeah.
If this was old Charles, 100% on old Charles.
So you're
New
saying-
Charles, no.
He's lost
I'm
his
going with
fire,
that.
huh?
He's lost the fire.
Oh
Cameron.
no, Charles, what
I'm
happened?
putting him on blast right now.
All right.
I want that quote as an intro to the show.
I should definitely intro that. Who do you like in this one, Charles? Who you got?
I'm also picking the Camry. I just think
No. Oh, you're.
I think it's a bad matchup for Dark Elves. People actually think Camry struggles against Elves, but if you actually look at the Rebbl, just filter by the Rebbl results, Camry is favored, and Random Ed is a much more experienced coach. He's great, and I think all pressure is on him to win this time.
Charles, I'm just getting a telephone call in here from your parents. They want you to move out of their basement now, and you're out of the will for picking against yourself. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh well, I'll put you up at my place, buddy. I'm sorry.
Honestly, I don't even think this is a bad matchup for Dark Elves. More so, you got the tools to sack them. I think. You got inducements?
No.
No, I think it's pretty.
It's pretty
uh,
good.
the same.
Okay, it's pretty.
Stick with your gut, Z. Don't worry.
Yeah.
New Charles is trash. You said
New
it.
Charles is trash.
New Charles is trash. That should be your next name of your next team, Charles. All right, let's take a look at Romanian Rebels versus Ars Gotia. Now, this is a 1970 point Dark Elf team versus a murdery 2150 of Ars Gotia. Let's take a look and see who's healthy, who's out, who's in. The Romanian Rebels, looks like they come in completely healthy. Only one guard piece, but plenty of dodge. But I think Ars Gotia comes in with plenty of tackle to counter that. Let's see, just one, two?
I got three.
Three, there you go. And 2 injuries. Looks like you got 2 players out.
Yep.
Interesting. This could be a pretty good match. Who do you like in this one, Charles? I think for me, I'm going to pick the Romanian Rebels because the coach of Ars Gotia is dead to me. And since he left our clan, I can never utter his name again.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, I hate to speak ill of the dead, but I will.
But I would pick Ars Gotia. I just think they will claw bomb stuff, and the Dark Elf team has very expensive players, and if they're not on the pitch, that's no value for your money. And Ars Gotia goes in and puts I would say a 2-0, but they might get in trouble if they get saucy.
All right. And Z, who do you like?
I honestly think this is
You don't want to get disowned.
well, I think this is like a 60-30 matchup. I think I have a 60% chance to win this match. And then the 10% to draw.
Yeah, I like for him to dodge away from you, keep you moving, and do some elf BS on you. But
I think I lose this if that Mighty Blow Blitzer, his Mighty Blow Blitzer just starts to pop off my guys, because the biggest drawback to my team is the lack of bench. And with expiring expenses, I'm not getting that bench anytime soon.
Nice to hear. You let everybody know about your weakness.
Yeah, that's
all
fine.
right. Yeah, okay. Let's take a look. What's our next matchup here? Murdery Space Elf Troop going up against the Grotty Greens, and the Murdery Space Elf Troops comes in at 1590, where the Grotty Greens come in at 1820. Quite a difference in TV there. Space Elf comes in. You know, Space Elf's team, what he has left of it, they have like 4 guard pieces. That's amazing for an elf team.
Yes.
I mean, that's insane. And then the Grotty Greens come in. Looks like they're completely healthy. Well, I can't count the numbers here, but it looks like they're healthy. And they've got that crazy Strength 6 Beast of Nurgle with block and stand firm. I mean, that piece, and guard. And break tackle for some reason. This is an insane piece that I hate and want to see die. But
It's disgusting.
yeah, I want to see that piece die. He's got a nice killer here. He's got plenty of tools to deal with this elf team, whereas the elf team is going to have to rely on some loners, but plenty of inducement money too. What do you like in this one, Charles?
I'm predicting a painful week for the Dark Elf Brotherhood. I think Nurgle is a terrible matchup. This Nurgle is not only very well built, very much dangerous and murderful, if that's a word, but it's also well coached, judging by the results of previous seasons. So I think they squeezed the fun out of the game. They bashed their way to victory.
Yeah, I hate to agree with you. I don't see the elves getting it done against the Grotty Greens. They've got too many good pieces. They don't have much tackle, but I think they've got plenty of removal and pass control that they can do.
I'm actually the outlier here. I actually think this is in the Dark Elves' favor by quite a bit.
Nice.
Why?
Plenty of blodge and guard.
Plenty of blodge, 1 tackle. He can also match up the guard, as well as he has a wizard already. I believe he also has possibly some babes, maybe an extra Apo. Maybe if he doesn't go that route, he has a star player with Hypno Gaze. I forgot his name. Idra, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sidewinder.
I actually think this is the Dark Elf match favor.
I just don't
If he
like
can-
that because he's got so much guard. It means he wants to base up, and I don't know. I just think basing up against a killer team is just a bad idea. But
I don't think the Dark Elves want to base up. Actually, I think. Oh well, I mean, I think they do, but only at certain times.
But then why
And
take 4
once-
guard? I mean, he's got 4
Because-
guard, and he's got
No,
plenty.
because then you can disengage instantly. You have the guard, you have the blodge, and if
Because
you want to get counter hits, I'm sorry, Charles, for like
No, that's
doing
okay.
that.
That's part of the show.
And if you want to, and if you want counter hits, it's even more difficult because you can't find good 2 dies since most of them might be 1 dies against blodge with all that guard.
All right.
Yes, that counter hit is like a dodge, but it's 2 die and you have some outside chance of breaking armor. So it's like a better tool for disengaging as well when you have a lot of guard.
All right. I'll defer to your judgment, Charles. You are the Dark Elf expert in this show. Let's take a look at our next game, the Gourmet Governors and Yeti to Conquer. Now, the Gourmet Governors coming at 1610. Yeti to Conquer comes in at 1630, so nice even match there. Not a lot of bank for either coach. 1 Thrall is out for the Vampires, and 1 Berserker is out, and this is a killer Berserker too. It's his jump up, mighty blow, pylon, tackle piece. So that is a huge loss that you were talking about earlier in the show. Who do you like in this one, Charles?
Oh, I like Yeti to Conquer. I think they're gonna be amazing up until the point where the injuries pile up. I think they'll still be good for this one. So I gotta go with him.
All right, Z, who do you like?
I have stocks in Yeti to Conquer, so I'm like obliged to go with Yeti to Conquer. I'm obligated. I mean,
Why are you obligated? What did you say?
I bought stocks
Oh.
to Yeti to Conquer.
Oh, that makes sense. Luminous is a former Super Bowl winner, but just watching his performance last week with the Gourmet Governors, it just looked like
I think
he
he
was
just
a little
got
out of
unlucky.
place. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully he turns it around. I'm gonna pick the Yeti to Conquer as well. Until Lumi shows me that he can destroy people with vampires, I won't be able to pick him.
By the way, if you also have stocks in Yeti Conquer, sell them by week 3. You'll see why.
Oh no. Insider trading.
Oh,
Insider
yeah.
trading.
Insider trading.
Yep. Let's take a look at the Blighty Moe's one cheese. The Blighty Moe's coming at $17.90. One cheese at $15.30. Let's see. One Nurgle Warrior who will be missing for the Blighty Moe's. And one cheese has one Gutter Runner that's missing. It looks like the Gutter Runner is a Sure Feet, Edge 5. So that's a key piece for him. Movement 10. Yeah, that looks like his
His one turn.
Yeah, it's one turn.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I believe they got it died last game. Then Appo
Yeah.
saved them on
Yeah.
the one turn. Yep.
Yep. Nurgle sits here with 1, 2, 3 extra tacks. So 3 tackle pieces that'll still be in the game. And I don't see any. Well, actually, the Rats have 2 claw pieces with Mighty Blow Pylon. So they could exchange for a little while. Who do you like in this one, Z?
I'm gonna have to go with the Nurgle.
All right. Charles.
If Skaven had I'm so bad at this. If Skaven had
They're one turner.
one turner,
Yeah.
automatically Skaven. But yeah,
Well,
gonna be
Skaven can
rough.
still one turn. It's just not natural one turning. I mean, he's still got a bunch of nice pieces here. He's got an extra hand, or big hand, sure hands piece here that can scoop the ball. So, and he's got some wrestle pieces. He's got options here to pull off some BS kind of gutter runner plays. He just doesn't have his best option.
I think even then the Nurgle are just gonna hit the gutter runners. Since you only have 3, if you lose one,
Yeah.
it makes that one turn even more difficult. Since you have one guy to retrieve it.
All right, Charles, who do you like in this one?
This Nurgle team has an above average amount of tackle for Nurgle.
Yeah.
And they also got a great win last week. And with the Reds missing the one turner, I think it's a bad matchup for them. So, yeah, again, Nurgle to
All
do
right,
what they do.
I'm going with one cheese. I think he still has enough tools to get it done and harass, and I am never wrong because I go back and edit the show to make sure I'm right. Let's take a look here at the last matchup. Boss Hog Outlaws versus Stump Force. Now, Boss Hog coming off that beating he took earlier. He comes in at 1820, and Stump Force coming in at 1660. So quite a difference in TV for a Dwarf versus Chaos Dwarf team. Boss Hog Outlaws missing one blocker, his killer blocker, and Stump Force coming in missing one of their blockers with Strength Up and Stand Firm. Yeesh, this is going to be ugly. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Chaos Dwarfs to win this one, just because it's a hard TV difference to make up when you're just regular dwarves. What do you like in this one, Charles?
I think the Dwarf team is lucky to face the Charf team right when they're missing their only claw.
Yep.
I'm still sticking with the Outlaws because they are faster and they have a bit more guard and strength. So I think it's going to be an ugly match, but they can squeeze a win out, I guess.
You know, one of the things that's interesting about the dwarf team is they are using the Death Roller, which it's always kind of funny, but it's a Death Roller with block, so it's not funny anymore. Block, guard, and grab, and I don't see. That's the one thing that the Chaos Dwarves always struggle against high strength opponents like Treeman if they don't have Claw out on the pitch, and now his Claw Dauntless piece is out of the game, so that's going to be interesting.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, we'll see. But there's no he's only going to have that for one piece because he doesn't get any inducement money or one turn, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Does he not get any inducement money?
No, let me see. I think the dwarves get the inducement money.
Yeah, dwarves get inducement.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I think actually the dwarves win this matchup.
Oh, interesting. Charles?
I think if you give them 2 bribes, which I think is enough, and you have money in the bank, you have 60k.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still think I'll side with the dwarves here.
All right, I like that.
No disrespect to
Volp.
I don't know, Vulpus in Kulta.
Yeah, you get the guy who needs to change his name.
Vulpus in Kulta.
Yeah.
No disrespect to him at all. I think he's a good coach.
Absolutely.
I just think without that claw palmer, it's harder to face dwarves, especially since you have AV7 Hobbs and yeah.
I definitely think that piece being out is the key maker that will give the dwarves the win if he can get that death roller going. That's a nice looking death roller. I don't see it usually in this high of a division. Especially
if he gets offense first, he gets multiple block. You get to block both of them.
Yep.
That's so good.
That's going to be ugly. All right. I think that wraps up everything. Anything you wanted to discuss with our guest before he leaves, Charles?
How are you feeling about your chances to go to the playoffs?
Pretty well. I think my biggest matchups are gonna be the rematch with the Grody Green and facing Ken with his Bloody Moes. But besides that, I think everything is a suitable win. And I know I'm gonna have a target on my back the second I say that. So yeah.
Yes. You have to be one of the early favorites to go into the playoffs and to murder a lot of people. So hopefully we can do something about that.
I think I have enough control, and by control I actually mean control pieces to stop elves and rats. And then if I don't get my ass beaten and my line stays, I might have enough people to put on the LOS so they can take hits and my claw bombers can live.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for joining us this week. It's been a real
thank you for having
pleasure.
me.
Now, Charles, you're going to have to remove him from our Discord channel here. And then you're going to have to remove him from our clan Discord, too, because he's spying on us now.
Wait, but I was already... No, guys, we're friends. Come on, we're friends.
We cannot have a
It's
spy
over.
in our
It's
ranks.
over.
It's over.
No,
It's not me. It's you, Ziazetta.
I promise I'll change, please.
Oh, boy. All right. All right. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll come right back. And welcome back to Friday Night Fights. This is our final segment of the show. Usually we sit around, we kibitz, we talk about news around the league, what's going on. This week, Charles wanted to introduce his ELO system to you guys and see what it is. Charles, what can you tell us about this ELO system of yours?
Yeah, as we talked about previously, it's me trying to do some automated ranking and predictions for this division. I actually want to do it for every division, but having just this one is easier on me to track the results afterwards.
All right.
And then I think we should show it every week at the end of our picks, just to give the people not just our opinions, but some objective data to look at.
All right, so let's take a look at this. Now, for example, on the first chart, you have Bring Out Your Undead is favored to win this matchup 52% of the time. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We actually mathematically, that's a chance to not lose, because the draws are like an intersection of those two sets.
Okay.
So you can be mean and say that the system always gets it wrong on draws, but you can also say that on a draw nobody lost, so the expected result is going to be always correct, because it's a chance to not lose.
Yeah. All right. So everybody, take a look at this. Is there anything that stood out to you that you wanted to look at?
Yeah, if you look at the matchup, Kenry seems to be having their way with Dark Elves in the REL, REL, as you guys say.
So Kenry teams have beat Dark Elf teams 16 times. They've tied 8, and then what does this number pull from? Like 16 times over last season, was it? This can't be
over. It's all of REL's history.
All of REL's history. Okay.
Because there's so many possible combinations 24 races can play as.
Right.
The numbers might seem low because you think it's a lot of games, but when you also take into consideration the amount of possible matchups, it's actually not a small number.
Okay.
And so they're favored both on the race matchup and on the rating system. So we also got a coin flip match between the Bloody Moles and One Cheese.
Okay. The
Bloody Moles getting some big up in rating after their win this week, because the team they beat was pretty high up there, the Ace Trucking team. Then Ars Goja, big favorite. And the biggest favorite of the week is Yeti to Conquer, one of the top rated teams in this division. And there's not been a lot of games between Ars and Vampire, but it seems like it's a favorite matchup for Nars.
Yeah, I would assume that's because there's not a lot of high-level vampire coaches. I mean, there's only 2 or 3, whereas Norse players tend to stick around a little longer. I mean, people try out vampires and realize it's pretty hard and then drop it.
True,
quickly.
that's true.
Just a guess. So these numbers are just what the computer thinks based on race matchups would work better. Your mileage, of course, may vary.
No, it actually is not picking based on the race matchups. It's
Okay.
picking based on the rating, how strong the system thinks the team is.
Okay.
The race matchup is just there to give us an idea. Maybe somebody is a big favorite, but the matchup between the races is not very favorable. So it's there just to give us an idea of where the system might get things wrong.
All right. Well, there you go, nerds. If you like numbers, talk to Charles. He loves them. Let's take a look. Any other news around Rebbl that you wanted to discuss?
We got the launch of the stock market,
Yep.
which C touched on a bit.
Yeah, I was in 26th place in the stock market for the first week. So I was doing okay by just picking people that I thought were seated way too low. And I don't really have a strategy yet, but I've got to sell a few of the stocks off next week.
Use my systems, and you can complain to me if it's not giving you the right information.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other news around Rebbl? I don't really have anything. You, Charles?
Yeah, I posted just beta to test out my Rebbl Elo system again.
It's on Rebbl News.
Check it out,
Yeah.
please. Yeah. Give me feedback. We also got some feedback on the show with Ken giving us a 3 out of 10. So we gotta make up that ground to get at least a 5, right?
Isn't Ken from the UK or something?
Yeah, he
think-
maybe doesn't understand
Yeah,
us.
he doesn't speak
Yeah.
English, so who cares what he thinks? Come on, Ken. Be serious. We're not going to take your input on this show. We're not the 33rd best rated show of all time on Rebbl for no reason, Ken. You got to be
Stop
kidding me.
it. He's gonna drop us down to a 2, man.
Well, yeah,
don't do it.
Oh, come on. The sponsors are not going to care what Ken thinks. He can write a campaign to get us fired, but it's not going to happen, Ken. All right. Other than that, everybody have a good week. Take care of your games, get them in early, and send your clips in. Like I said, the person who gets the most clips submitted onto the show that we use is going to get a prize at the end of the season. Other than that, all right, good luck on your game too, Charles. Have fun.
Thank you.
Yep, see ya.
You too.
Bye.